Alexei Popyrin stuns Daniil Medvedev in Toronto, tennis upset. In a sport often defined by its unpredictability and dramatic surprises, few moments capture the essence of tennis more vividly than an underdog toppling a top seed. And this is precisely what unfolded at the Toronto National Bank Open, where defending champion Alexei Popyrin delivered a stunning upset against the 10th seed, Daniil Medvedev. But here's where it gets controversial. Some might argue Medvedev, despite his ranking, is arguably an unstoppable force on hard courts. Yet Popyrin's resilience and strategic play proved otherwise, and this victory might just shake up expectations for the remainder of the tournament. This match wasn't just another game. It was a clash between former champions at the Canadian ATP Masters 1000, with Popyrin rising to the challenge. He fought through intense moments, saving 9 of the 11 break points faced, demonstrating remarkable composure and tactical intelligence. The Aussie's victory over Medvedev, who he now leads 2-4 in their head-to-head encounters, marks his 4th win over a top 20 opponent this season, reinforcing his upward trajectory. Previously, Popyrin showcased his rising prowess by reaching the quarterfinals at the Monte Carlo Masters. The match extended into the early hours of the morning, wrapping up just before 1 a.m., and capped off a perfect 8-0 record in Canada for Popyrin, an impressive feat. His upcoming match against 5th seed Holger Rune on Saturday promises more exciting tennis, with Popyrin confident and riding high after this win. Reflecting on his performance, Popyrin admitted that he felt he deserved to win the first set, leading 4-2 after an aggressive start. He explained that he lost his rhythm, a familiar story from earlier this season when he faced Medvedev in Rome, allowing the Russian to regain control. To counter this, he reverted to his core tactics, focusing on a strong serve, approaching the net, and disrupting Medvedev's rhythm, tactics that clearly paid off. Throughout the 2-hour and 30-minute encounter, Popyrin maintained the upper hand by establishing early breaks in all 3 sets, breaking in the first game of sets 2 and 3 after losing the initial set. He was able to hold his serve despite facing 6 break points in total, saving 9 out of 11 across the match, a statistic that underscores his clutch execution when it counted most. Medvedev, meanwhile, also defended well, saving 9 of 12 break points. Popyrin emphasizes the importance of precise shot placement and confident serving, especially as he hopes to improve his first serve percentage, currently at 61%, by hitting more consistent spots and raising his overall serving effectiveness. This resilient performance, coupled with his rise to a career-high ATP ranking of number 21 in June after a deep run at Roland Garros, points to a player on the verge of even greater achievements. As of now, he entered Toronto ranked number 26, and his performance here suggests a promising path forward. Are close matches and upsets like this a sign that talent and determination can still shake up the hierarchy of tennis powerhouses? Or is Medvedev's defeat just an anomaly in an otherwise predictable top-tier landscape? Share your thoughts below. Does this victory mark the start of a new chapter for Popyrin, or an exception in a sport where experience often reigns supreme? Medvedev and Raducanu suffer upset losses at Canadian Open. Tennis shockers. In the unpredictable world of professional tennis, even the biggest stars can face unexpected setbacks. This week, 2 prominent figures, Daniil Medvedev and Emma Raducanu, experienced shocking exits at the Canadian Open, leaving fans and analysts alike scratching their heads. Let's start with Medvedev. The Russian player, once a dominant force on the court, suffered a 3rd-round defeat in Toronto against the 18th seed and defending champion, Alexei Popyrin. The match was a grueling battle, ending with a score of 5-7, 6-4, 6-4 in favor of Popyrin. This loss brings Medvedev's record for 2025 to 26 wins and 16 losses, a far cry from the form that propelled him to the top. But here's where it gets controversial. Some analysts argue that Medvedev's aggressive style, while effective on hard courts, becomes predictable against opponents who can effectively counter his power. What do you think? Is it time for Medvedev to adapt his game? Medvedev's struggles this year have been evident in major tournaments. He faced an opening round exit at both the French Open and Wimbledon, and was knocked out in the second round of the Australian Open. This series of early defeats has significantly impacted his ranking, dropping him to 14th in the ATP rankings, his lowest position since 2019. To add to his woes, he hasn't secured an ATP Tour title since the Italian Open in May 2023. And this is the part most people miss. The mental toll of these losses can be immense, potentially affecting his performance even further. Hard courts have traditionally been Medvedev's preferred surface, making his recent performances even more surprising. Before the Canadian Open, he suffered a quarter-final loss to Corentin Moutet at the City DC Open. Following that defeat, Medvedev drew criticism for smashing his racket in frustration. In Toronto, he walked off the court without collecting his belongings after his loss to Popyrin, further fueling the narrative of a player struggling to cope with pressure. These recent struggles stand in stark contrast to Medvedev's peak form, which saw him win the 2021 US Open and hold the world #1 ranking for 16 weeks. He also reached 5 other major finals, showcasing his potential for greatness. Following his Canadian Open exit, Medvedev is scheduled to compete at the Cincinnati Open next week. He won the tournament in 2019 and reached the semifinals in both 2021 and 2022. However, he was defeated in the third round in 2023 and in the second round in 2024. Can he turn things around in Cincinnati, or will his struggles continue? On the women's side, Emma Raducanu's Canadian Open journey was cut short by a decisive defeat against Amanda Anisimova. Anisimova, a Wimbledon finalist and world #7, had previously lost to Raducanu at the Australian Open and Miami Open in 2025. However, in Montreal, Anisimova dominated the match, securing a 6-2, 6-1 victory in just 64 minutes. This result brought Raducanu's campaign to an abrupt end, especially after her comfortable wins against Elena Gabriela Rus and Peyton Stearns in the earlier rounds. Some might argue that Raducanu's early success created unrealistic expectations. Is she facing undue pressure to replicate her US Open victory? What are your thoughts on the challenges young stars face in maintaining consistency at the highest level? Let us know in the comments below. Andrey Rublev analyzes Daniil Medvedev's loss at Canadian Open, surface speed impact. Imagine the disappointment when high hopes are dashed in an instant. That's exactly what happened to Daniil Medvedev at the Canadian Open, where the Russian star, aiming to replicate his 2021 triumph, was unexpectedly ousted in the third round. Despite a promising start, Medvedev's journey came to a halt when he faced defending champion Alexei Popyrin, losing 7-5, 4-6, 4-6. This setback occurred in a tournament already marred by notable withdrawals, including Jannik Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, and Novak Djokovic, which theoretically should have opened the door for Medvedev's success. Reflecting on Medvedev's performance, Russian top-ranked player Andrey Rublev provided insights into what went wrong. In a candid interview with the Tennis Channel, Rublev highlighted how the unusually fast court conditions impacted the match. "I watched Daniil and Alexei play yesterday. It was all about the serve," Rublev noted. He elaborated that Medvedev, typically known for extended rallies, saw his game reduced to a series of serves and quick points, with only a couple of rallies occurring every 10 minutes. The rest was serve mistakes, or maybe serve-return mistake. There was less variety. Rublev observed. This observation ties into a broader discussion about the varying surface speeds across different tournaments on the ATP Tour. Rublev expressed a preference for slower courts, explaining that they offer a richer viewing experience. "Most courts are super fast, but I find indoor courts are often slower than outdoor ones," he said. He added that slower courts enhance the spectacle of tennis, allowing spectators to appreciate the player's defensive skills, strategic thinking, and physical endurance. On slower courts, you can see the tactics, physical conditions, and movement more clearly. Rublev emphasized. Despite his preference for slower services, Rublev has shown no signs of struggling on the fast courts of Toronto. As a 2024 Canadian Open finalist, Rublev advanced to the fourth round with a hard-fought 3-set victory. His upcoming match against Alejandro Davidovich Fokina promises to be a significant test. It will be a great challenge for me, especially since he beat me last time we played, Rublev admitted. Davidovich Fokina, fresh off a near win at the Washington Open, is in top form, making this encounter particularly intriguing. Rublev and Davidovich Fokina have a history, with the Russian leading their head-to-head 5-1. However, the Spaniard secured his first win against Rublev in the 2025 Barcelona Open. With both players in excellent form, the stage is set for a thrilling showdown. Rublev remains optimistic about his prospects, stating, "Overall, I've been playing great tennis lately. If I keep this level, something good will happen. Only time will tell if that something materializes in Toronto, but Rublev is determined to extend his stay in Canada with a win over Davidovich Fokina on Sunday, August 3rd. And here's where it gets controversial. While Rublev prefers slower courts, do you think the ATP Tour should standardize court speeds to ensure fairness and consistency? Or do you believe the variability adds to the excitement and challenges of the sport? Sharing your thoughts in the comments.